Welcome to another One Voice Live, where we talk about One Voice, what it is, and how it fits into the world of singing. I'm your host, Alex Zeto. So today we were supposed to be continuing our Dealing with Damage series, part 2 of that, which is where we were talking about dealing with vocal damage. But because of recent events, a lot of us have found a lot more free time on our hands, as well as less structure. So Michael and I talked, and we thought it would be really helpful to bump up a series that we were going to do called Building a Vocal Practice. So we're going to be talking about all things vocal practice, all the way from what is it, why is it important, how do you build one, what does it look like, and we're going to be having interviews with one-voicers to talk about their specific vocal practice, to see what information we can gain from them. And this is going to take place over the coming weeks, so we're hoping this can be really helpful for you guys with some extra free time to give you some structure and keep your voices sharp and build some new skills if possible. So to talk about this with me today is creator of One Voice, Michael Maresca.
Woo! Hello, everybody. Wow. What a wild ride we've been on. Truly.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. In talking about this, Alex and I were getting ready for the next show, Dealing with Damage, and then we were like, wait a minute. I mean, things are changing. We gotta shift it up, and we thought, what are some things that we can do, and this is something we felt like would be a really helpful thing for everyone. So I'm really excited to talk about building a voice practice with everybody.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, I was thinking about it today, and it's so weird when one thing changes or when many things change, how we can really feel like the rug has been ripped out from under us. And my voice practice has been non-existent from the last week. And I think so much of that is because just every day it feels like something's new and there's so much to keep up with. And so I'm excited personally for this to reinvigorate my structure and vocal practice in my own life.
I agree, and I think that's one of the hardest things that we'll get into in this series is, talking about how to really make it work. And I think the same thing happened to me. Like, as everything came in, I feel really good. I had my practice. I also had my physique practice going on. I was like, yeah, I'm working out. I'm getting my vocal practice on. Like, this is awesome, right? And then everything started just rolling down the pipelines, and a lot of my practices just got a little bit out of whack, and suddenly I was like, I felt like a loss of my footing. I had no sense of where I was in a way. I knew where I was, all those, but I'm saying in terms of my life felt a little disheveled.
Mm-hmm.
And especially now that, like you said, we all have a lot more time on our hands. And our hearts go out to everybody in the performing community, in any sort of community that deals with service, that's in-person service. Our hearts go out to you all, and we're sending happy thoughts and good vibes your way, and healthy thoughts. So yeah, it's been quite a lot. And I know for me, that was the thing that kind of happened, is I really felt, it wasn't until midway through this last week, I was talking with someone, and I said, it's wild. I suddenly went this one day, last Sunday, I went this day, and I was just going. Everything just felt so wild. I felt like I was checking my phone, and immediately checking my phone to see, okay, where am I? What's going on? Okay, this is going on. COVID-19. Let's check that. Let me see all the things. And then another thing comes in. Someone says, hey, this is canceled. Now this, and now you can't do this. And then now the people banning this. And my mind just going. And of course, now I don't have time for my practice, because I don't have time for that. So I keep moving on, moving, checking things, scrolling. Not only did it in the morning, I did in the middle of the day, I did at the end of the day, just glued. And, there's something that, of course, happens, and it's something that I call getting stuck in a loop. It's like my adrenaline, my fear, my excitement, my interest all just create this snowball effect that I can't get out of. And so suddenly, what's in front of me while I'm rolling feels so much more important than anything else, that I kind of lose sense of self and control. And I think that's why it's so important that we're going to be talking about building a voice practice. One of the most beautiful parts about a voice practice is that it brings you present, and it also helps you kind of have a better sense of a control of a part of your life that can give you or keep you grounded or give you some sense of footing. And so Yeah, I'm excited to talk about that with everyone today. A couple things that I wanted to say as to the reason, another couple reasons why, aside from finding control with your voice, and due to that structure, is also having intimacy with your voice, having more awareness, having actual results with your voice and growth, knowing the health of your voice, being able to kind of get a pulse on it, if you will, periodically throughout your practice. And so, yeah, was there anything else that you wanted to add, Alex, about this before?
No, I think you're spot on.
Okay.
Especially that I like the what do you call it? Getting stuck in a loop.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think we've all felt that before, especially when it's like the end of the day and where it's time to wind down, but we
Oh,
keep reaching for our phone. We're like, why am I doing this? And I think a huge part of that is like unrest because it's like this is
yeah.
something to do to like to keep up. So yeah, I'm very excited about this. You've said this a few times to me, and I want to clarify. What do you mean, if you're not going to get into it maybe later, but what do you mean by intimacy with your voice?
Ooh. Um, I think one of the things that happens with in the world of one voice, in one of our kind of pillars, if you will, is practicing curiosity.
Mm.
And I think because of that pillar, it causes us to ask questions. It causes us to say, "What's that? Oh, hey, what are you doing there? Let me look underneath that. Oh, I didn't know that was there. That's fun." And that's what I mean by intimacy. And intimacy, the thing about intimacy is that you can only find certain things by being intimate. Excuse me. And if you're always on the surface and you're always just doing drive-bys, and it's always, I've just got to get ready for this audition, I just got to get ready for the show, I've got to, there's no intimacy, because it's always towards an end. So it's always hurry, 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 go, 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 forget it, I don't have time, let me just get there. But what's beautiful about a practice is lifelong. A practice is long term. And so there is time, there is space to explore, to discover, to be curious. It's one of the coolest things. Actually, I've had a couple people when I was teaching at the school. A couple things that were happening over the last couple weeks is, some people, of course, felt disheveled, with everything going on. But it was amazing because when they would come in, it's like everything, they would center and they would say, all right, hey, you know what? I know, like, I have auditions and I should be ready for this and I got to work this and I've got these goals and But they said, I've always been curious about developing my whistle coordination. I have access, but it's just kind of And then I would love to learn about my rumble as well. That just seems so fun. And I was like, awesome. Let's dive in. Let's explore, right? And so it created this space, because they were so intimate with their voice in other places. There was a lack of fear of exploration, and so they could be curious and they could allow themselves to say, "Hey, let me check out rumble. Let me check out whistle. Let me see what that's like. Oh my gosh, it's so weird. I didn't know that that's how that was supposed to feel." And so, yeah, that's what I mean by intimacy with our voice. It's having a close relationship, which, even if people are professionals working all the time and singing all the time, they have a relationship. I'll say most people that I've encountered do not have an intimate relationship with their voice. Even if they're professionals, doing their 8 shows a week on Broadway, or they're gigging and they're recording, they tend to know what they know, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And they know what they need to know. And it's surprising how many Broadway professionals and recording artists who are excellent singers know so little about their voices, about this tool, this thing that they have, this instrument that they have some form of mastery over.
Yeah.
It's amazing how there's so much of it that they just have no idea that they're doing, or how to explain it, or how to share it with people. And I think our practice is another part of giving us a semblance of control, not just for those of us who are working towards building something that we're trying to master, but also for those of us who perhaps are seen as masters of something, but have no idea how to describe or share what that mastery is.
It's interesting to me that time spent does not equate intimacy or knowledge. I always find that so interesting. And I think that's another thing that
So real.
vocal practice, just like truly building a vocal practice versus just singing.
Mm.
And we'll get into more of that later, but I think that's so interesting.
God, you brought this up. I have to speak to it because I think it's so good, Alex. It's the concept of the 10,000 hours,
Mm,
right? That if I spend 10,000 hours, I'll be there. And I think, obviously I'm gonna take this a bit out of context, but I think the idea of spending 10,000 hours, we think, I'm just gonna practice and I'm practicing and I'll just keep practicing. So I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna sing my scales. I'm gonna do my song, and that's what I'm gonna do. And the interesting thing is that there's an element of that to the practice, monotony, continuous things. Yeah, that's real. That's the real work. But I think there's also a part that we think I just need to keep working. I just need to keep doing it, and it will be better, right? And that's not always true. And so for those of you out there in that rut where you're fighting really hard to make it work, obsession is something that does not help in a voice practice. It is literally never helpful,
mhm.
and only gets in your way. And I think that's when sometimes we skew that idea of 10,000 hours and we say, I'm just going to practice, practice, practice. And we get obsessed with work versus exploration. And the problem with getting obsessed with work versus exploration and actual learning is that then it just becomes about doing the monotonous thing and we're not paying attention anymore. And when your mind is trying to figure something out and your body's trying to figure something out, which is, this is what one voice coaches run into all the time, is we're working on this marriage between brain execution and muscular execution, that the muscles don't quite know how to do this yet. And the brain might understand intellectually, but it doesn't understand physically.
Mhm.
And so there's this game of trying to marry those two together. And when we are trying to problem solve, we need to be able to be creative. If we can't be creative because we're so focused on just working, and I've got to work, 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 well, then I stop feeling, I stop paying attention, I stop noticing. Oh, that was an interesting feeling. What was that? Oh my gosh. Ooh. Oh, I've never. Ooh, that's really neat. Because we're still practicing curiosity. Then
Mhm.
we've made space for that. But if we're just working, then and we've gotten obsessed with work, then I think we've missed the boat.
Yeah.
Uh,
I also think that 10,000 hours implies an understanding that in the voice world we don't have. So, yes, if you're spending 10,000 hours understanding what heavyweight requires, I think you will get really good at heavyweight if you really
Hopefully.
understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think for
Yeah.
so many of us, we're trying to spend 10,000 hours on belting or on expanding our
Mm.
range, and we don't have the understanding outside of one voice of how to do that. So we're kind of just knocking our heads against a wall.
Well said.
Yeah,
Well said.
great,
Yeah.
awesome.
Cool. Well, why don't we kick it off with structure? I've got a couple things to talk about. I want to talk about first the structure of a voice practice from the lens of the world of one voice, and how we structure practice and look at it. I want to then look at how to make it stick, how to really make that thing work, and then we'll recap it and bring it all home for the day. Yeah,
Great,
is that cool with you? Yeah.
totally.
Okay. So let's start with structure. Structure. So I need to preface everything I'm about to say by um, saying that one voice and part of that practice of curiosity. When the coordinations theory happened, as I said before, the entire world for me of singing just turned up on its head and blew my mind. And one of the things that I had a lot of questions about was a practice and what that meant, what that actually looked like. I've talked to a lot of people who teach voice, and one of the things they complain about is they often complain about, well, students, they just don't know how to practice. They don't know how to do that. And people have been saying this forever. There's a reason for that. I think most of us, what exactly do I do to practice? And so I want to see if we can clarify that first. And this is something for me that was a big question mark in my world. And so I think we should start there, by looking at it from that lens and knowing that what I'm about to share with you all are things that we have tested and tried and found results from in the world of one voice. And remember that for us, it's about making it make sense. It's not about making being right or wrong. It's just about things making sense in the world of singing for us. So That being said, we're going to look at a few things from the vantage point of things that we found to be successful with one voicers all over. So let's start with how many times. First, I'm going to offer to you that you should look at it 3 to 4 times a week. That means you should have a practice time 3 to 4 times a week, and that you should be dedicating at least, at minimum, an hour's worth of time towards that work. It's going to take you time. It may only take you 30, 45 minutes because maybe you don't have a lot of stamina. Maybe you're not conditioned yet. You don't have a lot of endurance yet with your voice. Okay, fine. So it takes you 30 minutes, right? That's fine. It's going to take you like 5 minutes to get set up in the room. You got to pull out your tracks to sing with, all those things. So it's going to take you time. So that's how often I would say you should look at doing a practice. That's it. Structure, done. Mm-hmm. That's the first outside of structure. And what we're going to dig into in the upcoming shows is that we're going to talk about a secondary structure, that is the actual practice itself. And we're going to break that down. We got lots to say about that. And we're going to talk about that in the weeks to come and about what parts those look like. But I'm going to say those now just so you know what they are. It's what we call the one voice vocal workflow. So when you actually have that hour of time or 2 hours of time, whatever you've designated for yourself, the things you're going to work on is you're going to run through what we call the workflow. And in the one voice vocal workflow, there's 4 parts. There's phase 1, which is the goal. The goal of phase 1 is to relax. There's phase 2, which the goal is to prep or prepare your voice for what it's about to do. Phase 3, which is about the workout, which the goal is either to exhaust your voice or maintain. And then finally, phase 4 is the goal, again, to relax and release your body and your voice again. This is what we call the workflow, vocal workflow. And this is something we'll look at more in depth in the time to come, in the shows to come. But that's what you'll be looking at in terms of structure. So from the high end, it's 3 to 4 times a week, at least an hour each one of those 3 to 4 times. And then inside of that time is going to be your vocal workflow. Yeah. But today I want to talk more about what it's going to take to get it started and how you can start getting this into your life. And so that you can start feeling some form of control over your voice and over that practice. And for some of you, having a practice for the very first time, which will be really exciting. Yeah. Okay. Let's dive right in there. So here's the question, guys. How do I actually make my voice practice stick? That's really the first question. How do I make it stick? Because for so many of us, right, we start off, we're saying, I'm going to go to the gym, New Year's resolution. I'm going to look great, have a great bod. I'm visualizing it. I'm ready. I'm enough, right? Like we got all the things, right? You went, you bought that bathing suit. You're looking at it and you're like, yeah, you and me, friend, we have a date, a couple months, right? And then you go to the gym. You're like, yeah. You're like, hey, Fred. Hey, Cassandra. Hey, just going, just doing my thing, right? And then 2 weeks later, suddenly it's raining outside, and you're like, oh, ugh, I'm fine. I'm just not gonna go today. I'll go tomorrow. Tomorrow comes. It's fine. I didn't have a huge dinner last night, so it's fine. I have less caloric intake. I'm fine. It's fine. And then it goes on and on and on, and it becomes a thing, right? Mm-hmm. Well, a couple things with this. One, that's not a bad thing, and it happens to all of us. We all miss our appointments and commitments with ourselves. What doesn't help us is when we beat ourselves up for them. Yeah? So one of the first things I want to offer to you is, one, remove the shame. Remove the shame. That's number one. Get shame out of it. If you add shame in and that's how you're going to try and motivate yourself, you're going to end up feeling really angry with yourself, which is the worst thing you can have. I should say the second worst thing you can have, aside from obsession, in your practice is shame. Yeah? Cool. So the next one is I want to talk about times and how we can get ourselves into a good time. When we look, I guess I'll talk about goals first, but when we look at a voice practice and getting something to work for us, one of the things I think that we often miss, and Alex, I'm sure you can speak to this as well in your own voice practice and in other practices as well. But one of the things I think we miss is we miss setting realistic goals and commitments for ourselves. What I mean by a goal is, like I told you all, that you should be shooting for 3 to 4 times a week. So shoot for 3 to 4 times a week. Or maybe you're like, you know what, realistically, I know myself. Realistically, I'm not going to get in more than 3. So you know what, I'm going to shoot for 3. Mm-hmm. Okay? That's my goal. All right, done. Well, that's where most people end, right there. It's finished. I'm going to shoot for 3 times this week. Well, when are you going to do it? Well, what time of day? When's it? You're just going to try and squeeze it in somewhere? Because without strategy, you're less likely to do any of this, right? We have to beat ourselves at this game. The person that we're in competition with, the person that we're fighting, is no one else but ourselves, right? It's that morning person who gets up and says, I want to sleep. It's the afternoon person who says, I want to sleep. The nighttime person who says, I want to sleep, right?
One person.
Just one person always want to sleep. That's an issue. You go to the doctor immediately. So when you have that going on, we've got to figure out how we can outsmart ourselves. Truly, if we want to win, we've got to beat ourselves. And so the first thing to do that with is by setting a realistic expectation or goal. Forget about dreaming and forget about being like, if I could, forget about it. Just let it go, truly. Because what you will do is you will dream yourself out of something that's possible. And why that's important for a voice practice is because you're going to set the bar way too high and you will fail. And for a voice practice, we don't need to fail, we need to win. And so maybe it's saying, you know what, I'm really going to get it 2 times a week. That's what I think I do. Great, 2 times a week. This brings us to the next part, which is then now that I've set a goal for myself, what we've got to start thinking about is when will I do it? Okay, there's a lot that can go into thinking about when will I do my practice. And I want to offer you all some tips and some ideas first. Think first about your day. Think first about your day. In your day, when do you feel your best, your absolute prime? Now, I heard someone say this to me the other day, and I thought it was fantastic. She said to me, I feel most mentally strong and energetic in the morning, and I feel more emotionally available and smart in the evening. I said, and then she said, around 2 and 3 and 5, I feel like I want to go to bed. I said, all right, brilliant. So what do we need to really build your voice? So remember what we talked about in the beginning. We talked about having curiosity. And if I want to have or practice curiosity, my brain needs to have power to do so. And your voice practice will benefit so much more from curiosity and a fresh brain than it will from a tired one. Because we have to we're asking our brain to problem solve while we're singing and trying to build new things. And so if we can have a fresh brain, a strong brain, we'll be that much more successful at achieving our goals inside of our practice. So ask yourself first, when am I most mentally aware and acute? When am I best mentally? That's first thinking of your day. So if you're a morning person and you find that your brain is the best in the morning, then you should schedule it in the mornings. That's true for me. So I wake up right now at a very early time for most people. I guess I get up at 5.
Yeah, you
right
say
now.
it. You tell them what
You say it. I get up at 5. Okay, everyone likes to shame me for that in this performance community. Everyone's like, oh, I wish I could do that. People say that all the time. I wish, and I know. It's fine. It's just where I'm in life. It's what I'm doing. So I get up at 5, and then I have my practice, my voice practice at around 8, and I do it 3 times a week. Side note, keep in mind that more doesn't mean better with your voice practice. Your body needs time to recuperate. Okay, so that's when I do it right now.
About that?
Yeah, please.
The 3 to 4 times a week, does it matter? Days in between? Back to back? What do you recommend?
Great question. Yeah, it's going to matter. Thanks for bringing that up, Alex. It's going to matter in terms of recuperation. So if I do an exhaustion-based workout, which we'll get more into as we get into the phase 3, when we talk about phase 3 of the workflow, is have time for swelling and other things to go down from an intense workout, similar to what a lot of people experience when they have a really big rehearsal. They haven't been singing a lot and suddenly they're rehearsing for 5-6 hours or 4 hours, or suddenly you haven't been recording a lot, but now you're moving into the studio and you're recording for 6 hours. You are dead. You are dead at the end of the day. And not only that, you wake up the next day and you've probably recognized that your voice feels really thick, feels kind of heavy. You're just like, oh, it feels like you're dragging this thing up, and that's because there's probably some swelling and a tremendous amount of stiffness in the muscles, the larynx and the vocal cords together. So having time to recuperate, a day of rest between is awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Does that? Yeah.
That's great.
Great. So that's what we're looking at in terms of structure. We have to set it up first. I do my singing at 8 a.m. is when I start. Now, you could argue that, yeah, I've been up since now 5. So I've been up for 3 hours. But most people say, no, I could never sing until 4 p.m. We're going to talk more about that and why that is for some people, and then how you can get yourself ready for those morning auditions or really any time that you need your voice to be ready. But first and foremost, a good brain time. For me, again, that's the morning. So I do it and schedule it in the mornings. The other reason to do it in the mornings or to do it when you're at your best brain time is because you need the energy and the happy-mindedness to do that practice. When you are tired, nothing is good, right? You're sleepy and you're like, I don't know. Am I happy with life? Do I love myself? I don't even like singing. What is my voice, right? All these things start happening because you're tired. You're tired. None of those things are real. None of them really matter. You're just tired. And so as soon as you rest, tomorrow you'll be fine. And that's what we always say. The next morning you get up like, I'm so silly. What was I doing, right? And that's what we say to her. Gosh, gee, Michael, why was I so grumpy with myself? And it's because you were tired. And so if you're trying to fit something in your weakest and worst time mentally, you have a high likelihood of failure. So that's thinking about the day. Now zoom out a little further and look at the week. When am I best in the week? Where do I have my greatest amount of energy in the week? And so it's most likely, for the majority of almost everybody, the same thing. It will probably be earlier in the week that you're better. So if your rest day, if you found a rest day to be a Monday, because that's a dark day for you, maybe Mondays and Tuesdays are your rest days or whatnot, then great. Then starting Wednesday, begin your practice. Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Awesome, right? And then rest again. Take your chill time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So finding time and playing the game to beat yourself at this is how you can really, really win at this. The last thing I'm going to say is that before you go into your work, this is the last thing I'll say on this is, let me say this as well. In terms of winning against yourself, beating yourself at this game, is sometimes you might need accountability. So it might be that, and know yourself, know thyself. Is as you are working this, am I someone who needs a trainer at the gym? Am I a person who will not show up to run if there's not someone else there, right? If you need someone else, be yourself at this game. Like win. Tell someone, hey, I'm going to do this and I need to send you a recording of myself doing it. Or you know what? Hey, I will call you these days and text you after I've done my workout. Fantastic. Really good. Use that. And people will be more than happy. It's no sweat off their back. They're not doing the practice. They're not doing the workout. And maybe they are, which is even better. If you can have someone to have that accountability with you, wow, what a gift, truly. It's like going to the gym and having a buddy there. That's a gift because you show up every time. And then what do you get for it? Well, you get the results you always wanted, which is awesome. Okay. Now, last thing I wanted to say about this, which is strategizing, strategy for work versus strategy during work. If we want to lose and slow ourselves down, another great way to do that is by doing no thinking about it beforehand. That is a great way, because what happens is our brains kind of shift into two places. There's execution brain, and then there is processing brain. There's the brain that's strategizing. And these are two separate kind of in the brain. Yeah, all right, I'm ready. Let's do it. We're gonna dig a hole today. Let's dig a hole. I'm ready. Woo, woo, woo. Here we go. And then someone says, whoa, wait, stop. Okay, wait. I mean, are we sure we want to dig it? Like, do we want to dig it here, or do we want to dig it over there, or should it be this big or this big? I mean, we need to think about this. And what it does is, as you probably all felt before, is it slows your momentum down. And suddenly your brain was really amped about doing and executing, and the brain has to stop it has to slow down, push the brakes, and now it has to shift over to another cognitive process about thinking about how to strategize, which is a very different process than thinking about how to execute.
Will you say the two parts of your brain again? We missed that part.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the doing or execution part, and then the strategizing part, the processing part.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Great.
And between those two, that's why it's really helpful for us to make a plan before we climb the mountain about how we're going to climb the mountain, so that while we're climbing, we don't have to waste time and stop and do any strategic work. We have already made all the choices and all the decisions, so we just do. We just act. So in your practice, once a week, perhaps you set a review time. And in that review time, you decide what I'm going to work on, let's say my practice is on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, whatever it is. I'm going to say, all right, so on Monday, I'm going to run through all of my classical legit rep. On Wednesday, I'm going to work all of my heavyweight stuff. On Friday, I'm going to do all my pop rock, or I'm going to do a mixture of both, and I'm going to jump between genres because I really need to work my jumping between genres. Whatever it is, you're making that plan ahead of time. And if you find that you fail when you get there and you feel like you're stuck, then make more decisions. Make all the decisions that you need to feel comfortable or relaxed about moving into your practice. Some of you, it may just be, I'm just going to sing some pop rock songs. Great. Some of you, it's going to be, you know what, I need to work the second song that's going to be on my EP, on my upcoming album. Don't Run Away From Me.
God.
Weird. That was a pretty good title. You're welcome. No one take that. I'm writing that song.
EP?
Yeah.
Busted.
If that's what I'm doing, right? Great. I need to do that. I'm going to work this part of the song, and I'm going to work this same kind of thing in other songs. Fantastic. Be as specific as you need to be to succeed, so that when you arrive, there's no thinking. There's going right through your workflow, right into your songs, and you're done. Fantastic. Beautiful and very smooth. A lot of you have experienced this when you go to the gym, or you're like, you know what I should do for myself, especially right now. People are like, you know what? I'm going to work out. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work out right now. I'm going to work out because I have time. And so people do, and they start working out, except when they get there, like, all right, it's workout time. I've scheduled it. Good job, me. It's now Monday. It is 10 a.m. Let me work out. And then you get there to work out, and then you're like, what should I do? Maybe I can do, and already I've slowed down, right? And now I'm getting tired of it. I'm like, maybe I don't need to work out. Maybe I'm going to do some jumping. I'm going to do some jumping jacks. And then I'll call it a day, because I there's so much to do right now these days. I've got lots of places to not go, so I've got to get ready. Right. So consider that. This is all about, the way we make it stick is by beating ourselves at the game. That's how we win. So I hope that's clear about strategizing for the work versus strategizing during the work. I hope that's clear.
Can I ask questions about goals?
Yeah.
So what about people who are watching this are like, great, I've scheduled it. I'm sitting down to figure out what my goals are.
Yeah.
Do we have any tools or things we can do to help people who maybe have option paralysis or just don't know what they want to focus on?
Great. First off, one, I'm going to tell you, well, let me start with this person. One, don't limit your goals. And by that, I mean, none of them have to be right or good for any purpose. They can solely be a desire or a want. Cool. And that's the brainstorm process. So allow yourself to just jot out anything. Goals, what do I want? I want to sing higher. I want to expand my range. What does that mean? I want to expand my range. I want to sing Defying Gravity. Fantastic. A much better goal than I just want to expand my range. I want to sing Defying Gravity. Okay, cool. I want to improve my be a better musician. What does be a better musician mean? Let's clarify that. Well, I want to sight read better. Well, what does that mean? I need to be able to read music. Okay, what does that mean? I need to and if you get stuck, that means there's more work to be done there. You need to figure out what it is specifically that you need to do to find that. But in the beginning stage, just let yourself go anywhere. Anything you can think of. What did the casting director say to me? What did my coach tell me? What did my friend say about my voice? This, that. Write them all down. Nothing is out of bounds. So let yourself just put it all out. The next phase or next step is then to organize that information. Okay, these 3 things deal with musicianship and learning music. These things deal with my voice. These things deal with the beauty or genres, different genres. How do I make my voice sound right for these different genres of music versus these are technical skills that I'm trying to build. Okay, cool. All right. Now I'm starting to allow myself to work through some of that option paralysis. Now what I do, if you really do have option paralysis, remember none of these are right unless there's a deadline coming. So the deadline coming is that I've got to audition with this kind of song and I don't sing that genre of music often. Well, then what I need to do is sing that song. Mm-hmm. Yeah? The other thing that I'll offer to you all, and Alex, please jump in on this. If there's any thoughts you have. My last thought on this in terms of option analysis paralysis. Is that what you said? Analysis paralysis or option paralysis?
Option paralysis. Yeah, that's the thing, right?
That's the thing. Yeah, because there's so many options. You can't choose. Yeah. What I would do then is if you really are and you find yourself getting stuck, you're not going to like what I'm going to say. But what I'm going to offer to you is I'm going to offer to you this, that a choice, when you're at a paralysis moment and you have lots of decisions and there's not a clear one because there's nothing defining why one would be more important than the others, then just make a choice. Yeah. Here's what I mean. Making a choice in this moment, it's just a choice. And if you end up getting into it realizing that you didn't need to work on that, that's fine. At your next practice time, now you'll have better information. I didn't need to waste time on that because that's not important right now. Well, that means you just got data that tells you something else is more important. Mm-hmm. But if that's not the case for you, then roll the dice. Truly, like write them down on a piece of paper or go, hey, I guess I'm working on Rumble this week. Awesome. Oh, I'm going to be doing my pop rock. Hey, fun for me, right? Great. Yeah.
Advice. One of my favorite phrases is you can't steer a parked car. It's like you can't. Sometimes you have to just drive to figure out you're going the wrong way. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Great. Thanks for asking that.
Yeah. Can I ask one more question about goals?
Yeah. Yeah.
How many reasonable things do you think you can work on at once? So you kind of talked about different goals throughout the week. What do you think about that?
That's a great question. I'll be interested to hear what you have to say about this question as well in answering your own question, as I hope you will. But I, in my experience with people, I find that too many goals is too much. But let me balance that by saying, when I'm trying to juggle too many things, I am, and I'm not proficient at one of those, then it's likely that I'm going to drop stuff. That's probably what's going to happen. And then I'll be frustrated at myself because I dropped those other things. What I'd offer to you is to minimize some of those things and take two of them. If you've got 9, take 2. Focus on 2 for that practice, and just nail them. And then in the next practice, review those 2 and say, do I have to focus on these as hard as I did last time? Like, can they run autopilot for me? If they can, and maybe it takes you 3, 4, 5, 6 different practices times to get that in your body, then fine. Then once you're like, all right, I think I can not focus on that, I'm going to add something new in. I'm going to layer something new. And this is what we call, in One Voice Line, we talk about as layering. I'm going to stack things on top of one another. Instead of trying to do the entire thing, I'm going to start with 1 or 2 things, make sure I've got those, and then I'm going to keep stacking on top. On that, I will also say there's a bit of a wrinkle to this answer, and that is that I talked earlier about obsession. Goals are one of the things that we can easily obsess over, meaning I'm trying to achieve a heavyweight in middle so that I can sing I'm Not That Guy or Man, right, from Full Monty. So if that's what I want to sing, then I'm going to say I've got to remember about that loop earlier, everyone. So I'm now on this loop again because of obsession. What I found to be the most successful for those of us who are maybe stuck and we're not able to, our brain creative process isn't able to marry our intellect and our understanding of what we know we need to do and can do with what our body's trying to do, then I would say let that cook, let that simmer. Check in on it periodically. Maybe one practice a week. Come back in and check in on it, right? But otherwise, start looking at some other goals. Give this a rest, because what it does is it hinders your ability to be creative, because you start getting blinders on. But we need to be free from I've got to do to saying what else is there? What are other ways? Our brain has to be free to be creative in order to problem solve, because what we've arrived at is we've arrived at a problem, and we need creativity to solve it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I don't think there's like a blanket statement answer for anyone, but I do think that the more proficient you are at something, the more goals you can kind of put on throughout a week. So for
Yeah,
example, if you're just starting heavyweight for the first time, building that in your middle coordination, that's going to take a lot of focus and a lot of energy. So it might be nice to then at your next vocal practice work on vocal setting a song in a different way, something that you're more proficient at. So half of the week you're working on something
totally.
that's really hard and new for you and takes a lot of brain power, and then the other half of the week you're refining an old skill.
Mm.
I
That's so good. That's so good. And when I think it also allows you to have a win,
totally.
and you feel good. And guys, as much as everyone's like, you should never need validation, it's how we can tell that we're on track a lot of times, right? So please don't feel like validation is a bad thing, but there's also obviously a balance with everything, right? So it's not like you have to have it to live, and you need it all the time, but you do need it. We all do, right? Great. I love that. I love that. And I wanted to say, I wanted to this is the last thing I have to say about this for today, which is the idea of, well, if I have a practice, do I need a coach anymore? Right? That's a great question. The answer is yes and no. Here's what it means. In our world, in One Voice, one of the things we do with all of our clients is we work to help them achieve and establish a healthy, beneficial practice, because it's where they see results. It's where they see change in their voice. And what we do in our sessions is our sessions aren't about us sitting there running you through scales and exercises. Our sessions are about strategy. Our sessions are about taking the time to say, all right, cool. So here's where we're going. Here's the things we need to get there. All right, let's start building the tools so you understand what you need to go work on. It's about strategy. So if you're in the place or in the space of still working those strategies to achieve what your goals are, then yes, you definitely still need to work with a coach, preferably one who understands what that practice is and how it functions so that they can utilize that. It's one of the most powerful things in our world that we've seen success with is people having a practice and building a practice. And what happens is in our sessions, which are strategy based, we work through the session and we say, cool, great. So what are you going to go do this week? And how are you going to do it? And what should we expect by next week? I'm going to do this, and here's how I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do that. Great, go. So now you're not just working your voice one time a week. You're going then and working that in your practice. So now in your practice, another 3-4 times that week, you're drilling that tool and working it, and you're becoming intimate with your voice and learning these different pieces and nuances and being creative with it. Yeah, so that's really cool. And eventually, our goal for our clients and our people is that they don't have to come to us, that we don't have to see them. Maybe we see them once a year for a check-in, but I believe that people can be self-sufficient, but they need to understand how. It's not just a blind like, well, Michael said I can be self-sufficient. I don't need help from anyone. Not true. Not true. That's not what I said. But I do believe that we can be self-sufficient, and that's our aim with our people, is to get them to the place where they can be self-sufficient, diagnose their voice, understand what to do, and have a practice that can help sustain them for the long run.
Ugh, so good. It's so good.
It is. It is. It's like it is the lifeblood of your vocal success. I mean, truly.
Especially, I was just talking about this with a friend of mine. So many of us have been singing for so many years, and we grow up singing. We're singing in choir, we're singing in shows. We go to high school, we do our theater shows, we audition for musical theater programs, we do that thing. And it's like every day we're singing. And then all of a sudden you graduate or something happens in your life and it comes to a screeching halt. And all of a sudden you're losing skills that you felt were innate, and you don't know how to get them back because
Ugh.
because you always had it like that. So I just think vocal practice, especially for those of us where no one's telling us to do it anymore, is so important.
That's so real. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, which is this is a practice, building a voice practice. What we started realizing in the world of one voice with clients is that we had clients who had a tremendous level of experience, were like high level pros, knew very little about their voices. I mean, which is mind blowing. Had maybe like 4 or 5 sessions, and now they're at a place in life where they don't know why their voice is doing this and how come this is happening. And the goal right from the get-go is like, oh, I see what's happening. You need a voice practice. That's what you need. And so cool that then suddenly you start to learn, like, how do I take control of this? Which is so awesome, both from the vantage point of being someone who's sung your whole life, who has all these skills, right? That's a semblance of mastery in a lot of places, as well as the person who has none of them and is trying to achieve them.
Totally.
So cool. So I wanted to recap with these things because I don't want to. I want to make sure that everyone gets them. So a couple things in quick recap, everyone. We talked about structure, how many times per week, and how long per week, and then we talked about how to make it stick, and then finally talking about coach versus not needing a coach when you have a practice. I hope this is a helpful thing to get you all going right now and give you some structure, getting you back into giving you some footing in your world and to start working for it, start working on this in your world. And I would love to see what your voice practices are becoming and to hear your questions on this.
100%.
Yeah, like posting them here, posting them on our Instagram, DMing us there, commenting here, wherever. We're scouring the comment fields to see what you guys have to say and what questions you have, because we're excited to answer them. Yeah, and I just wanted to say that I'm very grateful to you all, to you One Voicers out there, and even those of you who are new to this circle. I am sincerely and deeply grateful for you all. It is a joy to share this with you all. And it is something I still get very, very excited about sharing. And my aim, our aim in doing all of this is to help you on your vocal journey and to help you really do this. And right now, for a lot of us, it is one of the only things that we can have to take a hold of. There's a lot of uncertainty right now. So whatever questions you guys have, we'd love to answer them. And thanks. Yeah, Alex.
So moving forward, Michael, the next time you're on, correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to be digging into the One Voice vocal workflow more specifically.
Yes, very exciting. Very exciting. That's going to be multiple parts. Very excited about that.
Yeah. So if you're watching this and you're super pumped, which I hope you are, about starting your own vocal practice, I think, Michael, tell me what you think about this. The best places to start would be, first of all, goals, doing that, just like poop out like all your goals, no editing, and then go and see if there's a particular order that you want to move in, and then maybe looking at times a week.
Beautiful. Yes, that's great. That's an excellent place to start.
Awesome.
Yes. We'd love to see. I mean, if you have screenshots of your calendars or whatever, would love to see those. DM us those, or if you feel comfortable posting them somewhere, we'd love to see them. Just tag us in them. We'd love to see it. That'd be really fun.
That'd be so awesome. Yes. Okay. So you guys, next Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. CT, I am going to be joined by One Voicer Logan Floyd. I know! We're going to be talking about specifically her vocal practice and what she has found helpful. She was recently in the Chicago tour as Velma Kelly, which is sadly put on pause for right now, as a lot of production.
Everything.
But lucky for us, she's going to come on and share some of her vocal journey with us. So that's going to be so fun.
Woo!
And then the week after that, Michael, you'll be back to talk about vocal workflow.
So excited.
Yeah.
Cool.
Michael, thank you so much. And you guys, thank you so much for watching. Bye, everybody.